Joining us now, former Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates. Victoria, the Chinese readout on the Trump-Xi meeting did not mention Iran, not once. What do you make of what's been said, particularly about the Strait of Hormuz? But does the U.S. need China on Iran?
Well, Dagan, good to be with you. No, we don't need China on Iran. It would be useful to have China put pressure on Tehran. And I have to tell you, having been in some of these meetings and participating in the readouts, I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight on what a readout of one of these conversations says. I would wait and see what the parties actually do. And so if Chairman Xi is serious, and I think what he's most serious about is getting the crude he's already paid for out of the Gulf, not paying an additional toll for it, and then potentially finding a more reliable seller in the United States. That's fine with me. I certainly don't want China to become such a big customer that we're dependent on them, but if they want to take some of our cargoes going forward, that's just fine, and we're a better source for them than the Iranians are.
All right, so if you don't put a lot of weight on kind of the readout of these talks, Victoria, what do you put a lot of weight on? What are you seeing happening right now that tells you something either about where negotiations are going, what America's going to get, or what China's prepared to do?
I would put a lot of weight on what Secretary Bessent said, because apparently the lights are going off on Karg Island. As Dagan was just saying, there's no activity there. They're having to ration electricity. And we're even seeing these weird oil slicks in the Gulf, as if they're dumping oil. I'm sure all the far greens are going to be complaining about that at some point. But this is becoming a very dire situation for Iran, and it's going to feed into their broader problems. We were talking last week about 1 million jobs. Now it's 2 million jobs. 3 million jobs potentially have been lost in Iran. What is going to happen to these people? What are they going to do? What are they going to eat, especially if you start turning their lights off? So even as the president's in Beijing, inking good deals for the American people, what's happening in Iran is getting significantly worse for the regime.
But no oil flow until Iran agrees to no nuclear weapons or whatever deal we have put on the table. That's just my opinion. Cuba accepting $100 million in U.S. humanitarian aid, Victoria. This just was breaking this evening. What do you make of this?
Well, this $100 million has been on the table for some time, and it puts the lie to all the folks who say, oh, the United States is torturing the people of Cuba. No, what's torturing the people of Cuba is the Cuban Castro regime, which is still in place. And so the United States has always stood by the people of Cuba. We are here to support them. We want them to have food, power, and all sorts of prosperity and security. The island should be incredibly prosperous. And so this isn't surprising in any way, but I think what you're going to see is the administration keep the screws on in terms of additional energy going in, the sorts of things that fuel the industries that supply the regime. That's not going to go in. But humanitarian aid for the people of Cuba, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we had a huge debate about foreign aid right at the beginning of the second Trump administration. Secretary Rubio led that. So it's clear to me that he's not the kind of guy who wants to hand out money willy-nilly, all right? I know this is humanitarian, and America is generous, so I don't want to take away from that, but I guess I want to press you a little bit more on the $100 million. We've got to have some expectations for what it means that we're supporting Cubans like this, Victoria. Is this part of a broader strategy that the administration is trying to use? Maybe you could use the term turn the screws, but to coax, to force some real change and not the same old pattern of hand out money, people are okay for a while and then it falls back into the old regime.
Now, Brian, I think that's absolutely the point. I mean, with the eradication of USAID last year, which had to be done, it was an administration, it was a department that had its value during the Cold War. It had become a far left, woke sort of social experiment. under the Clinton administration and then the Obama administration, we hadn't done enough to clean it up. It needed to be removed. Now, that doesn't mean there is no role for Americans, what you'd call soft power, for reaching out to people, for trying to make the United States the partner of choice. I think that's what's happening here. And I know $100 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, in terms of what Cuba has cost us over the last 60 years, this could be a reasonably small investment. And if this is the kind of thing the administration is going to do, to get to a Cuba where we don't have to take military action against them, we are able to change the behavior of that regime, and then over time change to a government of Cuba that is responsive to the people of Cuba, I'm okay with that investment. I agree with you. You have to watch it closely. You can't do it through these United Nations supported non-governmental organizations, which are in essence extensions of the Castro government. You have to make sure it doesn't go into those industries that fuel the elites in Cuba. But if you can do that, you can do things that will really persuade the Cuban people America is on their side.
I'm glad you brought up the dismantling of U.S.-AID, because it just reminded me of how much President Trump has accomplished.
Thank you. Yes.
In less than a year and a half on the job. It's just astonishing. Victoria Coates, great to see you.
Thank you.